Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Witches and Wine. This is the show where we talk about witchy stuff and we drink wine. This morning for us, it's mimosas. Clink and drink and clink and drink. Awesome. hmm Yummy mimosas. If you're wondering why we're drinking mimosas, and why we're doing a show at 10 in the morning, because our guest is over in the UK. It's like 6 o'clock over there. We did not want to start drinking wine too early in the show. That would be a problem. So we stuck with what's socially acceptable, mimosas. So I am your hostess with the mostest, Lady Lola Stardust.
And I'm Lord Silent Stardust.
We are the high priest and high priestess of Children of the Crossroads ATC here in Spokane, Washington. And before we get started, I like to do the disclaimer. It has been brought to our attention that sometimes people don't like to watch witches talk about witchy stuff while they're a little tipsy from the wine. We've actually gotten complaints about that. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? You have the power
Yes, you do.
to make us disappear. Just click the X in the corner and we're gone. You have the magic, you witches. You really do. But we hope you stay with us because we have an awesome guest. Before we get to our guest, though, I am going to turn it over to my high priest, my partner in crime, my husband. Silenus, want to tell us about the champagne?
Well,
Or this? It's actually spark. It's not champagne, is it?
It is not a champagne. It is a cava.
It's a cava.
Cava was a sparkling wine that comes from Spain. And this is Incito Brut. This is a classic blend of your Pareda, Xarelto, and Macabeo grapes, which is what forms a cava. This is bottle fermented, so it's going to have a tighter bubble structure, similar to champagne, but can't be called that because of the grapes used in the region where it comes from. Very dry on the palate, and works wonderful for mimosas. And you're going to get lots of flavors of pear and a touch of apple underneath, and a hint of citrus. So pairs beautifully. And then for our juice today, we actually went with an orange juice with a little pineapple, so we get a little zing on there too for our mimosas.
Yes, a little zing.
Yeah, and what's nice about cavas, not expensive. Here in the U.S., you're going to pay $8 to $12 a bottle for most cavas, and they're drier than a prosecco. So if you like a drier sparkler for your mimosas or just plain drinking purposes, try a cava.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. I go through mimosas pretty quick. This might be more dangerous than if I was drinking wine, because I try to sip wine slowly, but mimosas. Oh, we don't have anything planned today, do we?
Nope.
Okay.
might be a day of day naps.
Yeah. Well, I am so excited for our guest. I can't even tell you how exciting this is. We have the wonderful, the talented Damh the Bard. Welcome to our show.
Thanks for inviting me. It's lovely to see you. And it's 6 o'clock here.
Yeah.
So that's an acceptable time. It's past the yard arm. So I have a beautiful bottle of Moniac mead here. So Scottish mead. So what is it you say? What's your
drink?
Clink and drink. There you go.
Yes,
cheers.
Clink and drink. We're all going to be schnockered by the end of the show.
Yeah, I've got to remember my lyrics when I've seen them.
Well, I can't be imagined the first time you're
a bard. Yeah,
while sipping some mead.
Do you know what? When I play live, I never drink a drop.
Oh, that makes sense though.
I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because I forget my lyrics at the best of times, and I don't need any additional help from alcohol. So yeah.
Well, oh my gosh. So first of all, Damh the Bard, I want to ask you, how did you come up with the name Damh the Bard? I am so curious about that. Would you like to tell us that story?
Yes. So this would be back in the, I don't know, probably 93, something like that, 1993, back at the turn of the century. and at that time, lots of people, there were a number of things. This was before the Triumph of the Moon came out, so this was while everybody was still trying to find grandparents who were witches and have lineage and all that kind of stuff. But also that at that time, people were really into the idea of the kind of magical names, and we still are, of course, but I think it was even more at that time. And I had yet to join OBOD, and I was reaching out. I was reaching out for a magical name, and nothing would come. Nothing that no one else had had anyway. I didn't want to be another Merlin and all those sorts of things, you know. So,
Yeah.
and so I was looking for something that meant something for me. And I was inspired by Ross Nichols, who had his bardic name of Newin. Now, normally, a magical name is secret between yourself and maybe your coven or your grove, but a bardic name is open and public. And so Ross Nichols's bardic name was Newin, and I thought I liked that, a public bardic name. And so again, I kind of just went searching and searching, and nothing came. And then about a year or so later, I had got interested in the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids, and I was at the house of Philip and Stephanie Cargom, who the chief and scribe. They are very close to me here in Sussex, and I went along to one of their Grove nights, and they had just released the Druid Animal Oracle. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Druid Animal
I've heard of that.
Oracle.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful deck of animal cards. The book is full of lore according to their mythologies, and the artwork. See, it's got to me already. The artwork was done by Will Worthington, who was the then scribe of the Order of Bards. He was the Pendragon of the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. And I was looking through. Now, the deer have always been an animal that I probably, other than a dog, which I think I am a dog inside, my kind of, if I had a fetch or something like that, it would be in the shape of a deer, of a stag.
yeah.
It probably came and was inspired by seeing Herne the Hunter on Robin of Sherwood back in the 80s, with Michael Pride. And so I was really into the deer. And as I was looking through these Druid Animal Oracle deck, I saw the stag card. And underneath each of the cards were their names in Gaelic. And underneath the stag card was the word Damh. And I thought, what's that? And then I said, what's this? And they said, that is pronounced Darv. And MH in Gaelic is a verse sound.
Oh, okay.
So Damh is Darv, officially as a word in Gaelic. And it means stag. It also means bard, and it also means ox. And I thought, that word is Darv, and my given name is Dave.
Yeah.
I've found my name.
Yeah.
And so I literally just started to sign the name Dave as Damh.
Oh, okay.
But officially it's Darv, but you know, I it's mostly Dave the Bard. So when I introduce myself, it's Dave the Bard, but it's a Damh. I mean, I've been called many things over the years, so I never worry about people calling me Damh the Bard or Damh the Bard. It serves me right for choosing a silly name, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is so interesting, because I just thought, you know, you were saying and spelling it in a creative way. Damn that bard. Damn the bard. You know. So, but I love that you just you became known as Damn the Bard. But I'm sure there's people that
know you as Dav.
Dav, right?
Well, most people just say Dave. Actually, you know.
Oh, okay.
You know, so there are people who say Dav the Bard, but and like I say, I don't mind what I don't mind.
Well,
that's it.
Yeah, you. I mean, when I was introduced to you, that's how I was introduced. People say, "Have you heard Damn the Bard?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't. Let me hear this man that's damning the bards." Like, that's amazing. I love that. I love magical names. We do. I have a magical name I use in my coven that I don't let anyone know. So it's very private. But I love that. It just was serendipitous for you to find that.
It was. And like I say, I think if I was to sum up my character, it's probably far more like a dog. But when I send out my spirit, when I journey, you know, I am either accompanied by or riding on, or I am a deer. So, you know, in fact, this afternoon we were at a place nearby here called Petworth Park, which is a deer park, And of course this time of the year is rutting season, so all of the stags are in full antlers and they're all making that that noise as they go through, and all of the hinds are going me. That's what it sounds like to my ears anyway.
Yeah.
And of course that's really strange when you think about it, because when we think as humans of the Horned God, we often think of Beltane, don't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
But Beltane, the deer, has very small antlers covered in velvet. It's this time of the year at Samhain that the Horned God is full power of the stag in the heat of the chase and that kind of stuff, So
I love that. When we were talking about a deer park, it made me think of when we the Aquarian Tabernacle Church, ATC, they do a festival every year. It's the recreation of the cult of Demeter, the story of Persephone going to the underworld. It's a wonderful festival, and they used to have it at a place called Fort Flagler in Washington State, and it was an old barracks, but it's a public park. But the deer there would like walk right up to you because they were so used to people being around. Yeah. That was the closest I ever got to a deer, and that's something that I've met in my spirit journeys. Is I've met a bear and I've met a deer, and so I kind of understand the whole deer concept.
Yeah, my most spiritual moment was I was on a walk at a lake that we used to go to, and I went to do a midnight stroll in the moonlight, and I had a star silhouette of a stag come and lead me down to the water in complete darkness. And make the sounds and everything, and it was the most profound in-person moment I have ever had, spiritually. So, and stag is something I generally do not associate with personally. I work with Pan, but it's more of the playful side, not the robust side. And this was definitely the projection.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to talk about I was reading your life story, I guess. And we talked about this beforehand, and you were talking about you got into a ceremonial magic group at the age of 18, which kind of surprised me because you seem you just seem naturally druid and pagan and I don't know, ceremonial magic. I don't associate it with what I associate you with, but I could be completely wrong. Can you tell us a little bit about, was that the first magical training that you got?
That's absolutely it, really. I think you've got to go back to when I was at school in the late 70s. There was no internet. There was barely a new age shop. There certainly wasn't the books on witchcraft. There wasn't the books on druidry. What there were the books of Uncle Aleister Crowley, and so I grew up. When I look out at my live shows and I'm playing my music and I look out and I see the people there, every now and again I will say something like, so this is where everybody who didn't quite fit in at school ended up.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people. I did not fit in at school. All my friends were into football. They were into sport. They would do it in the playgrounds, swapping football cards. I was not interested at all. I couldn't give a damn about football. I was into music. That was my first love. And whenever my teachers, whenever they say, Dave, you're not stupid, why aren't you trying to get your grades? I would say, don't worry, I'm going to be a musician.
I love that.
No, you don't have to worry about me. It'll all be fine.
Yeah.
And, but so music was my first love. But then I was also into the supernatural. I was into ghosts. I was into the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, and I was into I'd often be in the school library looking at those old Victorian photographs of those mediums with their ectoplasm coming out of their noses. I don't know if weird stuff. I was into all of that weird stuff. Musically, I was at that time, probably early on, I was into T-Rex, Sweet, Slade, all that kind of stuff. But then so I was obviously from a very early age into rock music. And that then led me into Black Sabbath, Rainbow, Led Zeppelin, you know, and of course the lyrics of Ronnie James Dio, Stargazer, Rainbow Rising, the words of Ozzy Osbourne and Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath. You know, I remember, what was her name? Tipper Gore back in the 80s when she tried to get that little sticker put on your CD saying, if you listen to heavy metal, you'll turn to the occult. Well, I'm living proof she was right. And it's not done me any harm whatsoever. Do you know what I mean?
No, it hasn't. It hasn't at all.
So
I love that.
Yeah. So that was the influence. And so, of course, when I left school, I was looking for something magical. It was magic that really was the draw to me. It wasn't necessarily a spiritual path. It was more to do with an understanding of the mechanics of how magic works.
Yeah.
And of course that led me into the Hermetic and into exploring the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, of the lesser the Lesser Key of Solomon, all those books, the Goetia, all those ceremonial magic books, because that's what there was at the time, you know.
Yeah.
And then that led me to join a group called the Occult Church Society, who they say their lineage was from the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And when you look through their teachings, it very much was, it was very much the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, ceremonial magic, Hermetic magic.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that, because I'll tell you something as well. I don't know if any of your viewers here will, or if maybe you might even relate to it. I wasn't ready for paganism at that time. I had been raised in a Christian country.
Yeah.
And although my parents weren't Christian, it was everywhere. The culture of Christianity was in every part of our lives, really, at that time.
Yeah.
And so when I saw Pan, I was scared of him at that point.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so when you look at Hermetic magic, they are still using the Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm.
They are still working with archangels. In a way, it's still almost a Judaic kind of, it's still got that kind of element to it. So it felt like a safer first step towards something other than Christianity. Yeah.
Traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was working magic, but it was being held by the magic of Solomon and by all of those, by the four archangels and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's what led me down the Hermetic magic route. And of course, one of the aims of Hermetic magic is to become one with your holy guardian angel, to fully meet your holy guardian angel. You'll find that in the grimoire, the magic of Abramelin the Mage, for instance, is all about meeting your holy guardian angel with these rituals.
Yeah.
And it felt like a lot of it was out there in the cosmos, and it didn't feel like a lot of it was about the earth, was about the mud underneath my feet.
Yeah.
And I suddenly started to think, I need something a little bit more earthy.
Yeah.
And suddenly the group disbanded, as a magical group sometimes do.
Yeah.
It just broke up, and I was left nowhere. I'd lost the people I was working with, but I also felt that there was something else I needed to explore. And at that time there was a magazine called Prediction, and it had all these adverts of the Pagan Federation, the Guild of Pagans, the Fellowship of Isis, all of these different people. And so I sent off for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started to explore the earthy pagan stuff, and that would have been in about 91. Okay. 90 or 91. So all through from 83 through to 89, I was doing the ceremonial magic. I would say the 90s was the start of my pagan path, if you like.
Okay. Yeah, I see here in 1994 you became a part of the Order of the Bards Ovates.
Yeah.
and druids. What is
Yes.
an ovate?
Ah, it's Druidry's little secret, that is.
Oh,
But it isn't really. But that's one of the things I love about the path, is because the bard, if I say the bard to you, you'll say, you know, music, poetry, searching for inspiration, sacred poetry, mythology. If you say druid, you'll say, okay, teacher, maybe the people at Stonehenge, white robes, you know. Say ovate, and often there's tumbleweed. I haven't got a clue what an ovate is. Yeah. We're held within those two schools, because I think they more are schools. Is the ovate is, if you like, the druidic shaman, is the druidic witch in a way. The ovate is, so the bard is all about this, all about what you can see, hear, and touch, and maybe elements of moving into the underworld of Anun or the other world. The ovate's entire journey is in that other world. So the ovate is about the mystery of the moon, about the mystery of the night, about the mystery of the yew tree, you know, that kind of thing, which is very, very craft like.
Yes.
Which means that, you know, we for years we've been able to get away with so much more than witches.
Well, yeah, I mean, when people think of druids, they think of Stonehenge, they think of all that stuff. It's kind of like Wicca.
But the nature communion.
Wicca is more socially acceptable if you say, "Oh, I'm Wiccan." I mean, because that's how I came out to my mother, was I'm Wiccan, and she goes, "Oh, that's the good witches." And I let her think that. I went, yes, you know, like, okay, Mom, yeah. So it's druids, you think of that stuff, but there's always, I mean, we are part of the occult. The occult means hidden. We are always, it doesn't matter if we're pagan, whatever, we are looking for what's beneath the surface. We are looking for what is behind what we can see. So it's all into that unknown and the hidden, and I love that. I love that we learned something new. Ovate. I did not know that.
There you go.
Yeah. So you also took over in the order as a Pendragon. Now, this is how in 2010, I've seen that name used as a magical name for people, and I just thought it was a cool name.
Well, we had King Uther.
Yes, yeah, Pendragon. So, what is a Pendragon?
It's basically it's the support of the chosen chief, if you like, of the order. Within the order of bards, ovates, and druids is a circle, right? So a bard is no more better than an ovate, is no more better than a druid. You know, it is one circle of people, and but at the end of the day, when decisions need to be made, there has to be someone where the buck stops here, kind of thing, you know. And so Obord has a triad. It has a chosen chief, a Pendragon, and a scribe. It's got 3 because that way there can never be any kind of deadlock. You know, you will always get a decision made. And in truth, it very rarely needs to do anything because the order is run by its membership, and it always has been. You know, but every now and again, things need sorting out, and one of us will step in and work with the people to sort things out. So that happens. But essentially, Newin, who was Ross Nichols, friend of Gerald Gardner's, and he when he found the order, his Pendragon was Vera Chapman, and she was the founder of the Tolkien Society and a writer. Philip Cargom, his first Pendragon was Will Worthington, who was an artist. And then when Will had been the Pendragon for 19 years, which is quite long enough for most people to, you know, you can't judge him for his commitment on 19 years, you know, he wanted to hand it over. And Philip asked me, and I'm a musician. And so I didn't really know what the Pendragon was when I became the Pendragon. I just knew that it felt right to take on that name and that role within the order. But when you look at it, you've got chief, as I've said, is like the buck stops here. You know, the chief is when you look at Vera, Will, and myself, it almost is like we are using our art as communication for our druidry, you know. So writing, art, and music, all about communication. So to me, the Pendragon is almost like ambassador.
Yeah.
Because I've always felt like I've had one foot in Obod and druidry and another foot in witchcraft and another foot in the Norse tradition. I've never felt like I am trapped by or have to stay in a lane, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And therefore I have been able to communicate with people like yourself and with going to a PSG, and I've never felt out of place with witches and Wiccans and heathens, you know. So to me, that's what it is. It's that kind of like, it's bridging, it's the communication, it's the ambassador. That's what it is in Obod, at least, I think.
Yeah. I always thought it was like a scribe of some sort, because Pendragon. I just thought it was a scribe. Yeah.
Okay, so pen in Brythonic, pen means head.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
So it's the head dragon.
Oh,
which is even better, right?
I love that. Yeah, the head dragon. I want to be the head dragon.
You can't be. I'm the head dragon. All right.
All right, Damh. Well, so we're talking about bards and music. Could you play us a song?
I can. I would, if you want to mute yourselves, I will make that change.
And real quick, I want to say, can we do the Under the Trees?
Yes. Okay.
So this is from your latest album that you released, I think, back in May. Was it?
That's right. It was May. Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite songs on it, because I just love trees. I go and talk to the trees. I'm a tree hugger. So it spoke to me very, very powerfully. So while he prepares, we're going to listen to Damh the Bard. Now that I know, he's going to play Under the Trees from his latest album, Raise the Flag of Green.
Brilliant. I will just go to stereo audio, which hopefully that is now on. Hopefully that's now changed. And I will grab my guitar. So I will play you a tune. Give me a nod if you can hear that all right. Yay. Driving home at night in the company of a storm. Endless tail lights, I'm sitting here alone. Another day gone by, where do they all go? It's getting harder to justify a life on death row. I wanna go where I can heal my soul, talk to the wisest people I know. I will go. The soothing sound of forest leaves, and all my troubles start to ease. Forgive me, please, 'cause you will find me under the tree. When we are born, we are told you're part of a great machine with no chance of parole. life is a miracle. This I know so well. It's time to turn the key of my prison cell. I wanna go where I can heal my soul, talk to the wisest people I know. I will go. The soothing sound of forest leaves and all my troubles start to ease. Forgive me, please, you will find me under the tree. And I know that it's true, it's so much harder to do than to say. All that I can say to you is come and meet me there too. You know the way. I wanna go where I can heal my soul, talk to the wisest people I know. I will go. The soothing sound of forest leaves and all my troubles start to ease. Forgive me, please. I wanna go where I can heal my soul, talk to the wisest people I know. I will go. Soothing sound of forest leaves and all my troubles start to ease. If you agree, come and join me under the tree.
Oh, that song makes me get so teary-eyed. It means so much to me. I'm sure it means so much to everyone that hears it.
Oh, thank you. My work here is done. Tears.
Mic drop. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Boom.
And clink and drink to beautiful music.
Clink and drink.
Oh my goodness.
Drink.
So that song, when the reason why it means so much to me is my father passed away last year, and we live very much in an urban setting, but our backyard is our little escape. And there's these two large trees that are across the alley that we can see from where we sit. And those are the trees I talk to. And when my father passed away, I made a little Hecate, that's the goddess I follow, altar out in the backyard. And I would sit and I would talk to the trees. And the trees just reminded me so much of my dad. Because my dad was around for a long time. He died at 84. He had stories. He's been around for a long time. So I kind of related him to a tree. And so it just really strengthened my love for my relationship with my dad and my relationship with trees. So when I hear that song, I think of my dad. And so I thank you for that. That it just brings love and joy to my life. I really love that.
That's one of the magical things about music, I think, is that, you know, I know why I wrote that song. But songs mean different things to different people, don't they? It's like, you know, if I play it later, Green and Grey, you know, people say, what do you mean by green and grey? I will never tell people what I think that means to me, because the moment I do that, it shifts other people's relationship with it. And everyone else has created their own relationship with that song. And all of us have a song that if it comes on the radio or if it comes on Spotify playlist or whatever, and suddenly you'll remember exactly where you are or were when you heard that song and what it means to you. It's magic. And it's weird, isn't it? Because it's just sound. You know, it's just sound. Why? I don't know if this will pick it up, but why? Oh, there you go. So it's only Martin. Why does that sound happy. Can you hear that chord? Yeah.
Yeah.
I move one finger, right?
Yeah.
And I'm now playing the saddest chord, as Spinal Tap always said, the sad D minor, the saddest chord ever. And all I've done is move one finger from that note to that note.
Yeah.
It's just sound. Why does that make us feel different? It's magic.
It is magic. And I was going to say, you know, as a musician, you get to do something that involves or combines two of your loves, magic and music, because music is magic. Like you just said, it's spell work.
Yeah.
And when you play in front of an audience, do you kind of sometimes feel that when you see what's happening? You can see that. I mean, just with us right here, I started closing my eyes and I was going in a little, it might have been some of the mimosa too, but I want to, but it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. When even with my house concerts, and I can't see anybody.
Yeah.
But I can see the comments, and I could feel the energy that is there around the world while people are watching me play online, and I'm reaching sometimes across the Atlantic, sometimes around the world to Australia, and I'm sitting here in this room playing with my little instrument, and somehow we're all feeling that connection, you know, and that's what music does, and I am thankful every day that that's the way that I, you know, earn my living and put food on the table and my art, you know. I'm very lucky.
You are very lucky you get to do that. You were talking about when you were younger some of your musical influences. Is there anyone now that you're kind of keeping your ear on? You're just like, hey, this is really good. Like what does Damh listen to?
Well, I go through phases. I guess you know. I go through folk phases. I go through spiritual music phases. I go through heavy metal phases. You know, and it really depends on what I'm after on that particular moment. You know, influences wise, I would probably say that there are there's a handful of real influences on my music that when I heard them, I thought, I want to be like you.
Yeah.
The first one is John Denver, weirdly enough.
I read that. That doesn't surprise me though. That doesn't surprise me at all.
The
folksy storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad was a huge John Denver fan. And he used to play me him all the time, and so I heard his songs via my dad, and then my guitar teacher taught me how to play, you know, some of the John Denver songs, and his voice and his connection with the natural world, you know, like Calypso and Rocky Mountain High, and you know, you just, I mean, if you hadn't heard it before, now I've said that, you'll hear it in my music, you know, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
I also saw him on his own with a guitar and a vocal mic.
Oh, nice.
So basically, this one person could hold an audience without a band, you know, without backup. And so I watched him. I thought, and that taught me that you could do that. Later on, there's a Scottish singer-songwriter called Dougie MacLean. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dougie MacLean. Okay, well, go on to your Spotify or whatever afterwards. Look up Dougie MacLean, and again, you will hear influences in my later music. I think from and I say later music. What I'm talking about is 2006 onwards. So ain't that late?
Relative terms at this point.
Yes. So Dougie MacLean, myself and Kerry were on a Hebridean holiday, and we were a lovely B&B on the Isle of Skye, and they were just playing this person's music while we were having breakfast, and I thought, he sings in the same pitch as me. I could sing along to his songs, and they had a similar vibe as what I was already writing, but something else was going on. So really that's it. But then I also think that a song, to me, has to have a hook that draws people in the form of a chorus that really rocks, you know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily John Denver and Dougie MacLean that inspired me by that. Weirdly enough, that was things like the Ramones, Thin Lizzy, you know, AC/DC, you know, the rock music, the way that, like, you know, when you hear that, you've got a riff that just draws you in, and once it's got you, you can't go anywhere else, you know. And so my love of the hook of music, that kind of like that thing that draws people in and keeps them there, and the love of melody, I think that also comes from you know, good old classic rock.
The idea of getting your toe tapping.
That's it, exactly.
Toe tapping, you have them.
I love
so you can hear that in Spirit of Albion, Hillsdale Hollow, Antler Crown and Standing Stone, the Cauldron Born. You know, they're all big old anthems. You know, and
I love that. We were talking earlier before the show started about online communities. You do the house concerts, and you have a YouTube channel that I discovered. I did not know about this. It's not yours, but it's called the Green Grimoire.
Yes, the Green Grimoire.
Can you explain what that is? Because I just discovered it the other day. So can you tell us what that is?
Okay.
Is it still active, or do you still post about it? Okay,
yes,
good.
It is. Yeah, Kerry started it. Kerry started my wife started it as because she's an allotmenteer. So she decided to do allotment videos of her growing her fruit and vegetable, but with a pagan leaning of honouring the earth in different ways, doing wassail ceremonies and things like that. And then we also said, oh, well, we go to a lot of sacred sites, and there's a lot of people in other parts of the world who might never be able to visit this sacred site.
Yeah.
So let's go on a picnic walk to a sacred site and take people along with us.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do on the Green Grimoire. We basically go on little pilgrimages and film and release them like that. The name the Green Grimoire. I hope it won't take too long to explain, but basically, okay. So basically, when the lockdown hit, I most of my druidry and paganism was outward focused. It was all about the community. I was running a grove, moots, camps, conferences, doing stuff for Obod, and my music, of course.
Yeah.
And when that stopped, because it all had to stop, I realized I'd almost forgotten what I believed as a pagan. You know.
Yeah.
That can happen, I think, when you're giving so much service that you forget what it is it's all about for yourself. So I really went questioning about what it was that I went right back to the beginning. I started to read books on the craft again, and druidry and various bits and pieces, and I realized that my path was still the same. It's just now I had a name for it, and it was animism.
Yep.
And so to me, I realized that I'd already been writing this for years, like the lines of Antler Crown of Standing Stone. I am the face within the leaves, I'm the voice within the trees, I am boy, I am man, the face of the changing land. It's not saying I am a human shaped person with horns. It's saying I'm the spirit of this land beneath your feet. And the way I may show myself to you is in this shape, but that's not what I look like. That's only what I look like to you. And I thought, so basically what I'm saying is that for me there was no longer any need for diving into books, because to me the book was always there. The book is the book of nature, is the book of the stars, the moon, the sun, the interaction between that, the things that grow, the animals, the signs, the portents, all those things are held within the book of nature.
Yeah.
And that is what me and Kerry called the Green Grimoire.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So the Green Grimoire is that. It's the green magical book.
I love that.
Yeah.
When I was young, I used to read young. I guess I'm 52. I don't know if that's young, but when I was younger, I loved Emily Dickinson, and I remember she her family would get mad at her because she wouldn't go to church with them on Sundays. She would stay at home. And she wrote a poem and explained that the trees were her church, the flowers, the rows of flowers were her pews, the sun was her God. And that, I read that when I was like a teenager, and that really got me in touch and appreciate what nature really is. I went through a phase when I was like very city girl, because I've always grown up in the city, and I was like, nature schmature, like give me a nightclub and, you know, some loud music and the traffic, you know. But I'm so happy that the craft has brought me back to nature when I was a kid. It brought me back to and how we can create our own worship and our own practice. Like I said, we have neighbors that are loud, we live by a busy street, but we are able to just step outside and just zone, like silence all of that. The craft has taught us to do that, and it's a blessing. It really is.
It's something that we've forgotten in modern Western culture. I think is one of those things that we've forgotten. And one of the things that occurred to me when I was doing that soul searching was a simple question: why are all of the gods the shape of one species on a planet with a millions of species?
Yeah.
You know, why are the gods the shape of an ape, i.e. us? You know,
yeah.
Surely that can't be right, you know, because my dog, who has abandoned me again, he's downstairs. You know, I am absolutely certain when I walk into the woods with Oscar that he can feel the spirit of the woods to him as a creature, because he sees it. So, you know, he chases things I can't see, and he sees the world in a different way. He sees it through his nose. What an amazing thing. You know, so my reality is not the only reality. So how come, you know, these statues on my altar are all arms and legs and heads and human shaped?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they can't be. They can't be. That must purely be how these spirits, these gods, if you want to call them that, are showing themselves to us.
Yeah.
But then what I find is, and I'm going a bit deep now, sorry, but
let's get clink and drink to deep talk. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's get deep.
Rabbit hole.
Okay.
So I've always loved mythology. Always loved mythology. The Mabinogi, Norse myths, you know, all of them. And the Irish myths. And what I've found is sometimes people can argue about the origin of Sif's hair, for instance, or you know, or is the Morrigan, you know, has she got dark hair or is she blonde, and or whatever, and say, well, that can't be true because that's not in the story. Yeah. And I think we approach myth backwards, because I think what we're trying to do is we've been left these myths, and we are trying to pin historical things onto them.
Yeah.
And look at them logically, when actually that's not what they ever were. You know, and no myth ever happened ever, but every myth is true.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
All right. So every myth holds truth with a capital T, but doesn't mean it happened. It means it holds within it a story that opens up a communication and connection with something other than yourself.
Yep.
And the details often don't matter.
No.
And also the myths that we have been left, like the Mabinogi, which are held within two books, the White Book of Rithirk and the Red Book of Hergest, were written down by Christian monks, you know, in the 1300s. A lot of the Norse myths were written down by Snorri, you know, back in the day too. You know. And what you can bet your life is when it's the same as folk music collectors, like Francis Child back in the day would have gone from village to village, and he would have heard somebody sing a song called the Raggle Taggle Gypsies, for instance, right?
Yeah.
And then that would have been written down, his version Kevin.
Yeah.
We'll call him Kevin from that village, right? Now,
Yeah.
the next village along, Alison probably sang a completely different version, but with the same energy of the Raggle-Taggle Gypsies, but it wasn't the same lyrics, but it held the same story.
Yep.
But that wasn't the one that was written down. It was Kevin's that were written down.
Yeah.
And the moment folk songs, myths are written down, it gives us something to argue about. You know, it does. You know, about finding the absolute one true origin. You know, and I think that that's a huge mistake, because they aren't. They, you know, they even our gods people would have had different relationships, very probably different relationships with, say, the Morrigan from one village to another. At one village, she might have been a goddess of war. Another one, she might have been a goddess of healing. Yeah. From the results of war and battle. You know, but the one we've been left with is this particular version. You know. So I think it's all about opening up your own personal relationship with these. You know, that's what it's all about to me. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel the gods also speak to us in the way that we are going to understand. So there's some of us that need to put a physical human body to a god, but then there's some of us that hear it in song. So we'll hear it in music. There's some of us that can comprehend better in colors or images or shapes or words, or, you know, and so I think that we are all correct in how we interpret it, and we have to remember that we call it relative truth, perceived realities. It's all what we, if you see it that way, then you're correct. Yeah.
And I think that people, you know, we're human beings. We have our own needs, our own requirements. We have our own pain. You know, we have our own joys. But they're all human. You know, they're all human. You know, that's the thing. And so my dad died a couple of years ago, and my mum's now suffering from dementia, and you know, I'm having that. It's that point in life. You know,
Me too.
and I reached out to the great big whatever it is, you know, and the door started to knock. There was knocking at the door.
Yeah.
And when I mean that, it's not a physical door. I mean,
in
a door. You know,
there's a doorbell going off. What?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the Ring doorbell. I looked at the camera. You know, there was a knock. There was a knock.
No one there.
There was a knock at the door, and I opened it up, and I started to dream of a beautiful woman surrounded by cats. Ooh. And then I started to dream of two ravens soaring over my head. And I thought, I've worked with the Brythonic gods all my life, all my life, and I thought, you're not going to get on with these people. You know, because traditionally our human story suggests that might be the case, but they wouldn't go away. And so I thought, okay, I'll open the door. I open the door, and in walks Bragi, the bard. Yeah. And Bragi walks straight up to Taliesin, shakes him by the hand, and they start talking.
Oh, I love that.
Odin walks in. The person who brought the mead of poetry, of inspiration to humans, walks over to Ceridwen, the person who brought the awen of inspiration, and they sit down and they start to talk. And you realize that actually all of these are energies. Njord, the god of the shore and of ships, walked up to Manawydan, the god of the shore and the ships in Brythonic. And it was like, these are the same energies, the same energies I've been working with all these years. It's just now I am conversing them with them in a different language, in a different name. Yeah. But you know, and so you know, and I am forever thankful for all of them, you know, and so so they have been holding my hand through this very difficult period of time, and I think maybe they needed to be the energies that were holding my hand, because this is my ancestral stuff that's going on right now with my parents. You know, it's direct ancestral grief, and that will lead me to a particular English British ancestry, I guess, is now opening up to me. So there you go.
I love that. That
amazing.
means so much. I want to, we're coming up to the end of the hour. Would you like to bring us out and us with a song?
I can do that. Absolutely.
I love it. This is one of your more popular ones that most people will know. And it is Green and Gray. So let's listen to this amazing Damh the Bard played Green and Gray.
All
right.
I'm sorry, Damh the Bard. I'm gonna forever say this now. I'm gonna go Damh the Bard, and those people are gonna go, "Where did you?" I'm like, Dave told me himself.
from the mouth of the bard.
The mouth.
Absolutely. Right. I will get the echo cancellation off again, and put the stereo audio on again. There we go. All right. So this is a little song, Green and Grey. Early one morning, round the 1st of May, a man in black came walking into a woodland glade, following the sounds of pipes on this beautiful spring day, high from the music that they made. But what beheld him within that place, a look of recognition fell across his face. Oh Lucifer, why do you appear to me? For I am a man of God, a priest. I'm no devil, I'm father to the land, and I have lived here since the earth began. Neither black nor white, priest, hear what I say. I'm green and grey. The priest said, Lucifer, you lie so well. I pray unto my God, now go back to the fires of hell. You fell from heaven, and you fell from grace. You want dominion over this place. The piper smiled. To the priest he said, I was lord of animals, and the wild hunt I led, until your God came here, and with his jealous hand, it was he who wanted dominion over this land. For I'm no devil, I'm father to the land, and I have lived here since the earth began. Neither black nor white, priest, hear what I say. I'm green and grey. The priest said all evil comes from your hands. The piper said if evil is, it lies in the heart of man. But you lead us, oh you tempt us, to rape, to steal, to kill. The piper said whatever happened to free will? Then the grove lay empty, the priest told no one. The blossom lay upon the thorn, and the piper's tune was done. And in the sunlit forest, the animals they bowed, as the piper laid his goddess down. For I'm no devil, I'm father to the land, and I have lived here since the earth began. Neither black nor
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Wow.
so many people are commenting they're ugly crying right now. Seriously. And
It's beautiful.
isn't it beautiful when you can, I love crying to music. I just love crying. It's my Pisces moon. I love to cry. I love to cry. And so your music brings so much emotion and so much truth and beauty. And thank you so much for being on our show.
You're very welcome.
Oh my gosh, you
Someone said to me once, when your heart fills up, your eyes spill over.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So if anyone wants to help out our cause, I guess, we are a nonprofit organization, Children of the Crossroads. We do a lot of online things. We plan a lot of public events, local public events. You can join our Discord channel. It's also in the description of the this episode. Thank you. So join our Discord. We have workshops. We have daily devotionals. We're having a movie night coming up on this Sunday. It's for Halloween. We're either gonna watch Rosemary's Baby. We have people voting. Rosemary's Baby, Fright Night, Nightmare Alley, or Salem's Lot. So everyone's voting on that because it's that time of year. Like, come on, let's watch some scary stuff. So join our Discord channel. Also, we are, like I said, we're a nonprofit. Donations are very much appreciated. Our PayPal is PayPal.me, COTCATC, and our Venmo is COTCATC, Venmo.com. And of course, if you want to contact us and you want to be a guest on our show, or you have a suggestion for wine, or you have a suggestion
for a
guest or a topic, you can email us at
crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
I'm sorry, what was that?
That's crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, Damh the Bard, you have made. Oh, sorry, Damh the Bard.
You carry on calling me whatever you like.
Yeah.
It's gonna be our joke now.
Yeah,
joke.
This is now canon for our joke.
This is canon. We're gonna be like Damh. Thank you so much for being a guest. You have made our show amazing. We got so many viewers. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Just beautiful.
You're very welcome. It's been lovely to have you and see the comments and stuff.
Yeah, we've got a lot of beautiful comments coming in. Someone said Salem's Lot.
If you were to ask me my vote, my vote would be Salem's Lot as well. My God,
very good. Yeah.
That bit at the window. Oh no, blooming heck.
Well, maybe we'll just make it Salem's Lot in honor of Damh the Bard. So remember, everyone, please be kind to one another and always walk with the goddess. And until next time, blessed be, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.